June 2016. Following a missed penalty and a third consecutive loss in a major final, Lionel Messi stood before cameras and announced his retirement from the Argentine national team. At 29 years old, his career was a study in contradictions. This chart illustrates the gap. On the left, he secured 4 Champions League titles and 5 Ballon d'Or awards with Barcelona. On the right, for his country, the trophy cabinet was completely empty. To his critics, that empty red column was proof of a limitation. The argument was simple. Messi was a product of a specific Spanish system, a player who required the world-class service of Barcelona's midfield to be effective. He was also playing in a shadow that never receded. In Argentina, the number 10 jersey is inseparable from Diego Maradona, who had delivered a World Cup and set a standard of leadership that Messi, with his quiet demeanor, struggled to replicate. For many in his home country, European trophies were secondary. No matter how many goals he scored in Spain, he would remain an incomplete legend until he could win on the international stage. The roots of this disconnect go back to a medical crisis in Rosario. Diagnosed with a growth hormone deficiency at age 10, Messi's family found themselves unable to afford the expensive daily injections required for him to grow. Barcelona offered a lifeline. They would pay for the treatment, but only if the family relocated to Spain. At 13, Messi left his hometown to join the club's academy, effectively trading his childhood in Argentina for a future in the world's most sophisticated footballing laboratory. In Spain, he was nurtured by icons like Ronaldinho. The Brazilian superstar didn't just share the pitch with him, he mentored him, easing the young Argentine into the first team and protecting him from the glare of early stardom. By 2009, the investment paid off. Lifting the Champions League trophy in Rome, Messi established himself as the premier player in the world, thriving in a system designed specifically to highlight his strengths. In this controlled environment, Messi became a clinical finisher. He was the spearhead of a team that dominated possession, allowing him to operate with a level of efficiency that looked almost effortless. While Barcelona built him into a global icon, the move had an unintended side effect. To the Argentine public, he had become an expatriate, a player who had been polished by Europe and appeared disconnected from the grit of South American football. His international career began with a disaster that felt like an omen. In his first match for the senior team, he was sent off with a red card just 47 seconds after subbing onto the field. Heartbreak became a recurring theme. In the 2014 World Cup final, he stood inches from the trophy, only for Germany to score in the final minutes of extra time, ending his best chance at matching Maradona's peak. The pressure reached a breaking point after losing back-to-back Copa America finals to Chile. Each failure brought a new wave of criticism from a fan base that questioned his commitment to the national shirt. But his retirement announcement triggered an unexpected shift. Cared. He realized that walking away would leave the narrative of his career defined by failure. Months later, he reversed his decision, returning to lead a national team that was about to undergo a total transformation. In late 2020, the primary source of comparison vanished. The death of Diego Maradona turned a living, breathing standard of perfection into a shared memory, allowing the national team to move out of his shadow and find its own identity. A new crop of teammates arrived, players who had spent their childhoods with Messi's posters on their walls. Having watched his heartbreak in 2016, they no longer expected him to carry them. Instead, they resolved to protect him, acting as a pack of wolves that handled the physical labor so their captain could focus on the decisive moments. This new bond was tested in the 2021 Copa America. Facing Brazil in their own stadium, Argentina played with a defensive ferocity that had been missing for decades. The 1-0 victory ended a 28-year trophy drought. For the first time, Messi was pictured in an Argentina kit with a major trophy in his hands, silencing the critics who claimed he was only a club player. With the continental curse broken, the psychological weight burdening him for 16 years was lifted. The team headed into the next World Cup not with a sense of desperation, but with the confidence of champions. Qatar 2022 was the final chapter. At 35, Messi entered his 5th World Cup, knowing that this was his last opportunity to secure the one prize that would finalize his legacy. The final against France began with total Argentine dominance. They held a 2-0 lead until the closing minutes, and the long-awaited celebration seemed inevitable. But the script was suddenly torn up. In a lightning-fast sequence, Kylian Mbappe scored twice, forcing the game into a grueling extra time and threatening to deliver one last nightmare for the Argentine captain. After 120 minutes of exhausting play, the match moved to a penalty shootout. In the ultimate test of nerves, the players had to find the back of the net one final time to decide the champion of the world. When the final penalty was scored, the result triggered a historic outpouring of emotion. From the pitch in Qatar to the streets of Buenos Aires, a generation of frustration was replaced by pure, unbridled celebration. Lionel Messi finished his career with every major trophy available to a footballer. While his time in Spain provided the statistics that defined a generation, his 16-year pursuit of the World Cup provided the soul of his story. He reached the summit by enduring the very failures he was once expected to run away from.